The Granblue Fantasy Beta is now over, and I have to say I had an absolute blast, and I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well. According to Twitter, I know a lot of people have withdrawals just like I do. I wish I could play some right now. I'm just theory crafting in my mind, different things I want to try out, different things I want to do. I'm hoping different things will work, but alas, we cannot. But with that being said, today we are going to be talking about Granblue Fantasy Versus and how it's pretty much the anime Street Fighter. My name is Ryan and you are watching Plus on Block, so don't press any buttons because you might get counter hit unless you're hitting that subscribe button or that like button. Let's get started. So most anime fighting games have two mechanics that are always, I don't want to say always, almost always a given: air dashing and gatling. So air dashing is when you enter the air and you have the option to advance forward or backwards similarly to how you do on the ground. This gives the user access to more mobility options, both defensively and offensively, to avoid potential threats or to extend pressure. Air dashing gives access to a thing called the instant air dash overhead, where you air dash mid mix up and throw in an overhead to force your opponent to block high, or you can do a thing called an empty jump low, doing the exact same thing, but instead of going for the overhead, you go for the low instead, making your opponent think that the air dash is the overhead, but instead you mix them up with the low. This feature is absent in Granblue Fantasy Versus. Gatling is a term used in the anime fighting game community, which basically means normal moves that can be cancelled into other normal moves. Many anime fighting games have gatling with light rules in place that go from A, B, C, light, medium, heavy, or medium into mediums and mediums into heavies, but you can't go back into lights. It kind of depends on the game. Gatling adds to more free flow combos that allows you to hit confirm off pretty much a single touch that will lead into a full mix into a full combo, setting up Oki. Think of games like Unis and Dragon Ball Fighters. This feature is also absent in Granblue Fantasy. Now in Street Fighter, you have access to instant overheads, you have access to empty jump lows without air dashing, so that's not a problem. But with that being said, you can't gatling during mix-ups. In Street Fighter, you do have a thing called target combos, however, which basically allows you to press a sequence of buttons, and if you want to continue that string of attacks for an auto combo, you can. Usually the first hit is safe, and the following hits afterwards are unsafe or can be punishable or have punishable gaps. In Granblue Fantasy Versus, you could also go for instant overheads or empty jump lows just like in Street Fighter, but the combo system is more reflective to Street Fighter than it is to other anime fighting games, more target combo based than it is gatling based. You see, you can either go with a light, medium, or heavy attack, but all of them lead into an auto combo, and that auto combo is basically a target combo. When you press that string, it's a set sequence of moves that lead to the same result. Some are actually safe on block actually, which is quite surprising. But that's how the combo system, that's how the mix-up system works in Granblue Fantasy. It's a lot more similar to Street Fighter than it would be to your typical anime fighter. Alright guys, now it's time to talk about the ground game, the footsies, the nooch, as Sonic Fox likes to call it. The ground game in Granblue Fantasy Versus is very similar to Street Fighter 4, I would say, rather than Street Fighter 5. Obviously there are fireballs, DPs, but more importantly, the speed of the game is very much more Street Fighter-esque than any other anime fighter. As we all know, most anime fighting games are very fast-paced, have long, flashy combos, and don't get me wrong, this game is very flashy as well. You know, they have launchers, things of that nature. This game, however, doesn't. You know, combos are more short, as I just discussed with the target combo system / auto combo system. When we talk about movement options, when we talk about walk speed, obviously it's a lot slower than one would typically expect from anime fighting games. I mean, even for me personally, I think that it should be increased maybe next beta or on official release, but who knows, I'll probably get used to it how it is set up right now. But yeah, I mean, the movement speed is definitely a lot slower, and there are very few air interactions in this game, which means neutral game and controlling space on the ground is very, very important. There's no tools to skip neutral, right? The most mileage out of every character's kit will purely come off the ground game, a lot like Street Fighter. Now you also have to keep in mind, you know, since there's no skip neutral moves like super advancing forward specials or super dash like there is in Dragon Ball Fighters, jumping in might seem more attractive. However, in this game, special moves can be activated with the touch of a single button, meaning that people have access to a one button DP. Jumping in is extremely dangerous because you will eat a full DP, get knocked down, and now it's Oki time. Now it's time to guess, and you gotta guess if you're getting thrown, if you're gonna get meted with a low, if you're gonna get hit by an overhead, you press a button, you get counter hit, and all of that. And when I mentioned that DPs in this game, if you use the EX version, do a ton of damage, so you really got to be careful with your air approaches. So that just puts even more emphasis on the ground game. That puts even more emphasis on the footsies in order to close that space, in order to get into those ranges that your character will really excel with. So those are the three things, right? The ground game, the lack of Gatling, no air dashing. I feel like those are the key things that a lot of people look at in terms of anime fighting games, and Granblue Fantasy doesn't have that. I feel like this game feels like an anime Street Fighter. It feels like I'm playing Street Fighter, but it's anime. You get what I'm saying? So that's just my thoughts on it. That's my opinion on Granblue Fantasy versus. Do you guys think that this game is basically an anime Street Fighter? Do you think it plays like something else? Let me know in the comment section below. Once again, this is Ryan here from Plus on Block. And guess what? Don't press any buttons, man. You're gonna get counter hit. You're gonna eat a full combo. But if you're pressing that like button or subscribe button, go on and press those buttons, alright? I'm out, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace. And I have Granblue Fantasy versus the Drums.